Welcome, everyone. This is going to be issue 64, the review. And first thing I want to say is Happy Labor Day to everyone in the U.S. and I believe Canada also celebrates Labor Day today. For those of you that don't celebrate Labor Day, well, sorry about that. Um, Also, for any Australian people out there, fans and whatnot. I want to say Happy Father's Day to any fathers out there. I don't know if the UK celebrates Father's Day on the same day or not. I know Australia, yesterday was Father's Day. So happy Father's Day, specifically to my father-in-law. He won't be watching this, but happy Father's Day to him regardless. Okay, so first thing we're going to get into is Cygnus Spaceworks, the Eta-class shuttle. So you can tell it's got some similarities to the Lambda class and the Theta class, which we've already reviewed. So this would be the precursor. So let's go ahead and get started. Um, First, we'll do this after I change my glasses so I can read properly or more easily. The Eta-class shuttle was designed built by the Cygnus Spaceworks, was used extensively throughout the Clone Wars by the Galactic Republic and also the Jedi Order. The heavily armed shuttle was brought into service by the Galactic Republic in response to the increasingly dangerous events of the Clone Wars. The most important aspects of the shuttle's design were its speed and maneuverability, especially at sublight speeds, and the inclusion of a Class 2.5 hyperdrive unit. Its three-winged, get this page flipped. Its three-winged design, all wings being an equal angular distance from one another, provided the shuttle with the extra stability required at such fast speeds, and also allowed the ship to maneuver in and out of tight situations. When airborne, the two wings on either side of the hull would lower into an optimum position for flight, and they would contract against the hull for landing. Let's see if we can see what the doesn't say what its actual speed was. Usually it'll tell us what the speed is, but it doesn't tell us. We know it had a 2.5 class 2.5 hyperdrive, which is pretty good, especially for such a small ship. So let's go ahead and talk about the sophisticated defenses. Now, what I don't understand is this is showing 5 wings instead of 3, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Oh, this might be showing the two different angles. So this would be the normal angle, and then when it's landed, it's like that. Okay, that makes sense. All right. The Eta-class shuttle was well equipped to defend important passengers. A gunner sitting in the main cockpit controlled the 3 laser cannons, which were able to delay any attackers, buying time and allowing the shuttle to flee at sublight speeds. The shuttle also featured enhanced shields, which provided supplementary protection when under attack. Finally, the shuttle was fitted with an impressive advanced sensor jamming package. This technology allowed the pilot to block signals and made it very hard for enemies to coordinate any kind of assault. Jedi shuttle equipped for 2 crew and 6 or more passengers. The Eta-class was officially designated the Jedi or Republic Ambassadorial Shuttle. In reality, it was used on many sensitive and dangerous missions and was particularly favorite of Obi-Wan Kenobi, who appreciated its speed, stability, and solid defenses. Clone Wars service. The Eta-class shuttle saw plenty of service during the Clone Wars and was used exclusively both by the High Command of the Grand Army of the Republic and the Jedi. It was not uncommon for groups of Jedi to use the Eta-class for potentially dangerous missions, where they knew the speed of the shuttle would be used to aid in a quick escape. If and when required, in one daring rescue mission, Anakin Skywalker cleverly used one of these shuttles to board General Grievous's Separatist flagship and bring back the hand-picked assault team. The shuttle was a firm favorite of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Even though he had a profound dislike for space travel, he used one later in the Clone Wars to travel with Jedi Master Quinlan Vos to Nal Hutta and then on to Teth, searching for the infamous Zero the Hutt. Later still, Kenobi Skywalker and his Padawan Ahsoka Tano used an Eta-class shuttle to investigate an ancient Jedi distress signal that had been inexplicably activated in the Trilithium system. Whilst approaching the signal, the Jedi stumbled upon a mysterious structure that absorbed the ship. When they awoke, they found themselves on the force-rich planet of Mortis, their ship perfectly intact but inexplicably non-functional. So, if you watched Clone Wars, the Mortis three-part series, that was a very good series, sub-series of it. Very good. Sidious's shuttle. Darth Sidious, Dark Lord of the Sith, used his own version of the Eta-class shuttle during the Clone Wars. He was not, his was not painted in the usual red and white color scheme used by the Jedi Order, but instead was a nondescript gray. Apart from the alternative color scheme, the only other noticeable difference from the outside were the widened hull and advanced weaponry on the wings. The rest of the ship remained almost identical and was also equipped with a hyperdrive unit. Uh, It doesn't make any sense because they already talked about how they had a hyperdrive unit. The cramped interior of the shuttle was widened to incorporate the additional areas required by Sidious, and extra rooms were added so that his aides could accompany him when they joined him on his travels to far-flung systems. Sidious's own quarters were modified to provide a more luxurious and opulent cabin area. Even though the Eta-class shuttle was small, it commanded significant respect from all those who used it. It was a forerunner of the Theta-class shuttle favored by Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, while many of his design team would go on to create the Lambda-class Imperial shuttle after they left Cygnus Spaceworks to join the staff at Sanar Fleet Systems. Stealth mission. An Eta-class shuttle joined the Galactic Republic Task Force to help free Jedi Master Eth Koth from the claws of General Grievous. The shuttle, piloted by Anakin Skywalker and Adi Gallia, was sent to board General Grievous's ship, while Obi-Wan Kenobi and the rest of the fleet provided a distraction for other separatist vessels. Skywalker cleverly used the onboard jamming equipment to bring the shuttle out of hyperspace directly in front of the destroyer, dock with it, and board undetected. Once Koth had been rescued, Skywalker returned to the ship along with his troops ready to leave the destroyer, while Gallia went to assist Kenobi in an effort to capture Grievous. During the ensuing conflict, Kenobi's transport was destroyed and Skywalker's shuttle was used to bring Kenobi, Koth, Gallia, and the rest of the team back to the fleet. The Borrowers. And this is our behind the scenes here for this. When it came to looking for new designs for the more recent movies and the animated series, The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, the first point of reference was often the abandoned artwork and concepts from the original films, including work done by legendary artists Ralph McQuarrie and Joe Johnston. In particular, the whole look and feel of Star Wars Rebels was closely inspired by some of the original work McQuarrie did on Star Wars in the mid-1970s. For the Eta-class shuttle, the design can be traced back to some concept of the Lambda-class T-4A shuttle created by Johnston for Return of the Jedi. There you go. Visiting Malastare. Sitting on the transgalactic Heidenway hyperspace lane in the Dustig sector of the Mid-Rim, Malastare is known across the galaxy. Its social structure has seen its inhabitants travel across the stars in the fields of industry, culture, and politics. In essence, an unremarkable planet, Malastare has, like many seemingly plain locations strewn across the system's sectors and regions, made a name for itself on the galactic map. Malastare is occupied by a number of sentient species, in cosmopolitan cosmos that is mixing and sharing resources more and more by the day. This is not unusual. The two main sentient species that share Malastare appear to coexist better than most. The Dugs are the native Malastarians who evolved in the forests of the planet and engaged in an age-long tussle with the Xylobeast. We'll get to that. Um, let's talk about governing Malastare. This is kind of important and significant. The government of Malastare is a curious one, reflecting the duality of the planet's main species. Ruled from the towering and imposing imperial palace, the Dugs of the Malastarian Council oversaw the internal affairs of the planet, but the Gran spoke for Malastare in the Galactic Senate on Coruscant. The Malastarian Council was composed of 5 members who were able to ratify and pass treaties in a simple system of majority voting. Externally, in the Senate, the Grand Representative Ainley Team wielded great influence and even came close to the ultimate seat of power when he jockeyed for the position of Supreme Chancellor after a vote of no confidence saw Finis Valorum removed from office. Team was unsuccessful in his attempts as Senator Palpatine won the election and changed the course of the galactic history forever. All right. There we go. The their fearsome battle with the planet's biggest inhabitant, the fearsome Xylobeast. The Dugs fought constantly with the Xylobeast, while the creature in turn wiped out millions of Dugs until the Dugs developed the skills and technology to push the Xylo near to extinction. With the Xylobeast no longer considered a threat to the people of the Malastare, humans and Gran came to the planet. In a relatively short period, the society of the planet altered, with Dugs overseeing internal affairs and matters of local importance, and the Gran dealing with the wider issues and representing the planet in the Galactic Senate. It was a balance that had failed on any number of worlds across the galaxy, but which flourished and prospered here. The surface of Malastare is largely covered in dense forests, while the core of the planet holds a potent fuel that forms the center of the planet's export industry. In order to reach down and siphon the fuel to the surface, the native Dugs cleared forested areas to build massive refineries and allow easier access deep into the planet. Wisely, the Dugs would reseed these areas once the fuel was drained to allow the forest to grow back, thus restoring the natural order. Pod racing, very important. An offshoot of Malsare's fuel-driven economy was the rise of pod racing on the planet. The sport increased greatly in popularity across the galaxy, pushed on by underworld gambling dens and illegal betting networks, which showed championship races across the cosmos in all their violent, gory glory. The Doug Sebulba from the city of Pixelito was the best known competitor of his time and regularly won the big races, often through devious means. So, if you've seen the Phantom Menace, you know what they mean by that. Competing on the galactic pod racing circuit, Sebulba and his opponents would compete in a series of 7 championship races that spanned the galaxy, from the Executioner course on Uvo 4 or in the Outer Rim, or the Boonta Eve Classic across the Slice on Tatooine. Aside from such diversions, Malastare's fuel is a precious and much sought after commodity. During the widespread conflict of the Clone Wars, Malastare became a hotly contested world, with both the Galactic Republic and the armies of the Separatists fighting to control. In return for helping to conquer the reawakened Xylobeast, a treaty was signed whereby the Dugs of the Malastare Council gave the Republic sole access to the fuel reserves. In return, the Xylobeast was taken away from the planet to Coruscant for further study by Supreme Chancellor Palpatine's scientists. So if you saw that episode, you could kind of tell that Palpatine was obviously wanting to try to learn something from it in a more malicious manner, not any kind of benign methods. In a galaxy consisting of billions of worlds and species, there were any number of pastime sports that sentient beings could enjoy, participate in, and bet upon. That said, few caught the imagination in much as the sport of pod racing, which ran competitions and championships across the galaxy, including on the forest world of Malastare. A pod racing hall of fame would be incomplete without Sebulba, born of the city of Pixelito, who was a champion many times over and a sporting hero by the Dugs of Malastare in the galaxy's many pod racing fans. So yeah, we know about uh, Sebulba. Godzilla. Godzilla. Malastare was first mentioned in Star Wars: The Phantom Menace by Jedi Knight Qui-Gon Jinn. That movie showed the depth of the planet's involvement in galactic affairs, both politically and socially. Not only did the devious Doug pod racer Sebulba hail from Malastare, but the Grand Amli team almost took the position of Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Senate, but it wasn't until Season 2 of the Clone Wars that the world of Malastare appeared on screen. In Episode 18, The Xylo Beast, with the planet about to be taken by the Separatists, Supreme Chancellor Palpatine allows the use of a prototype weapon, the Electro-Proton Bomb. As in the stories of Godzilla here on Earth, that explosion awakens the titanic Xylo Beast. So, yeah, it was a pretty interesting episode. Next, let's talk about communication devices. Comlinks and subspace radios were both developed for person to person communications at a distance, but as they broadcast signals that can be picked up by anyone within range, military organizations and those businesses in private or clandestine uh, need to encrypt their transmissions, as the signals themselves can be used to locate an individual or their ship. Those whose business is top secret generally refrain from using any kind of communication device as much as possible. The simplest, cheapest comlinks consist of little more than a receiver, transmitter, and a power source. Light and portable, they can be carried in a pocket, belt, or wrist strap. More sophisticated comlinks include built-in encryption and decryption devices, security facilities, and ports to connect to a range of other equipment. They typically have longer range, although new comlinks are designed to communicate over a very great distance. The range and signal interference ratio are mainly dependent on the power of the device, so comlinks that have access to high energy power sources, such as military backpack and vehicle mounted models, have much longer ranges and fewer transmission breaks than small handheld wrist or helmet mounted models. Imperial Communications. Helmet-mounted comlinks were a feature of the armor first developed for Republic clone troopers, as well as transmitting voice messages. The communicators allowed troops to share target data and other chart information. Later, Sorosub Corporation's DH-77 comlink was fitted to the Imperial Army's stormtrooper helmet until it was discovered that high-energy particles could easily jam the signal, as artillery explosions and TIE fighters produced emissions that had this effect, at up to 3 kilometers in the case of the fighter. This commonly affected operations. Herzfall Corporation developed an improved version, the DH-107, which was fitted to stormtrooper helmets made after the Battle of Yavin, although no priority was given to retrofitting them to earlier units. The C-1 personal comlink made by Sorosub Communications was also standard issue for the Galactic Empire. It was used by officers and technical personnel while whichever internal communication systems were fitted to a particular unit's stormtrooper helmet, an easily portable C-1 was a useful backup. The small cylindrical cylindrical casing had a microphone grill on the upper end and an on-off switch on the side. The body of the device contained a scrambler, transmitter, and controls for the frequency code sequence. Sophisticated encryption algorithms ensured that both transmission and reception were secure. The standard range of 50 kilometers was automatically boosted when signals were picked up up close to an Imperial base. Comlinks were also used on board starships for short-range communications, such as formation commands and a request to landing or departure clearance. Jedi Comlink, we should all be familiar with these. Source Up Corporation Hush 98 Comlink was used by both factions in the years leading up to the Clone Wars, but it was commonly carried by the Jedi. With a 100-kilometer range, it was highly sensitive to even highly sensitive to even the quietest sounds, and included a silence projector that created a cocoon of white noise around the user to permit private conversations. Other features included variable frequencies, message encoding, data transmission, and personal tracker. Subspace communications. For longer distances, subspace comms transfer satellite pickup and rebroadcast a comlink signal, allowing personnel on a planetary surface to transmit messages across space. Crew members on board of starships can make direct use of the vessel's subspace radio. And if you remember the trash compactor, you know that Luke was trying to use one of these. Where were we? Subspace radio. This allows instantaneous, faster than light communication between nearby systems using subspace as a carrier medium. The maximum range is several light years, depending on power of the transmitter. Say in our fleet systems, Ranger subspace transceiver fitted to Imperial Star Destroyers have a range of 100 light years. Beyond that, messages can be relayed from one subspace network to another, but this can be problematic as many networks use different communications protocols, which means that translation algorithms have to be applied with a risk of corrupting or even losing the information. Encryption. The Ranger transceiver can monitor over 300 subspace channels at once and is capable of switching channels every tenth of a second. This means it can scan the entire subspace spectrum in under 3 hours. Any intercepts that an operator picks up can be decoded in minutes by the device's powerful built-in ComScan encryption computer. Chedak Communications Sprite subspace transceiver is standard equipment on the X-Wing starfighter, but the need to miniaturize the device means that its range is limited to 25 light years. The same company's more powerful frequency agile subspace transceiver has a range of 40 light years and picks up both video and audio. Its interface port connects with droid brains and computer systems, meaning it can be fitted to a wide range of different equipment. The Millennium Falcon had one installed as standard, although it was further modified by a Carbante Whistler encryption module to encode messages sent through subspace. So here's the really fun part. Cutting edge design. How clever of a name is that, right? The Hush 98 comlink used by Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi was based on the Gillette Sensor XL women's razor, which had a smooth casing with a non-slip grip. A copy was cast in resin after falling off some details and filling in others, and was further modified by gluing on metal fittings, including solder lugs normally used to attach a cable to a terminal. So there you go. If you weren't aware of that, yeah, that's what those were based off of was those razors back in the day. So pretty interesting. All right, so that is everything for issue 64. Again, we are really close to finishing up the framework. We got some more hull plating there. In issue 65, looks like we're going to get two new pieces of framework. We're going to get some ribs, all the brackets that go along with it, and some more hull plating. So may need to get my hull plating blackout work done. So might be getting close to that. So that's everything for issue 64. I want to thank everybody for stopping by and watching, and I want to say, may the force be with you always.